All right. Well, why don't we go to board number 5. All right. So far, an easy bidding problem for me. You know, again, like I said on the last hand, I'm thinking about what I might do over various actions. Most of the time, I'm, going to pass no matter how the bidding went with a hand this week. If Liz passes, I have to decide whether to pass or not. Now, traditionally, you're supposed to have 6 high card points to respond. You can sometimes do so with a little bit less if you have distribution. I happen to like to sometimes respond light, especially if I'm not vulnerable, but that is something that I will discuss with my regular partners, and since I've never had the pleasure of playing with Sally Alley before, I don't really want to make an unusual bid and have, a worse hand than my partner will expect. So I'm going to do the normal thing, even though, my gut sort of tells me that bidding 1 spade may well be the percentage action despite having only 4 high card points. If I wasn't vulnerable, I would feel quite strongly that 1 spade was the percentage action here. The main reason for responding light is not so much out of fear that you might make something, although here we might make something, it looks like. It's more a function of making life difficult for the opponents, that it tends to be harder for the opponents to judge what their best contract is if you, if you get into the bidding rather than pass the opening bid. So I'll tell you that, when I'm the dummy, playing real bridge in a tournament, obviously I can't see my partner's hand. But it's still hard for me not to try to piece it together, as the play is going along. Now, it would be better if I could stop myself from doing that, because, you really, when you're the dummy, what you do is not particularly important at all, except to make sure that you don't revoke. It's pretty hard to revoke when you're the dummy, and you really shouldn't be wasting mental energy on, piecing the hand together. So, that being said, as a bridge player, it seems sort of natural to, still, once you get into this habit of counting the hand, when you're not the dummy, it's hard not to do it when you're also the dummy. Now, online bridge, it's totally different because you can see partner's hands, so, the same principles that apply when you're counting the hand as declare, can apply when you're playing online bridge. But I will say, if you're serious about the game and you want to improve your performance, and if you're able to do this, use the time when you're the dummy to relax, because bridge is very demanding as an exercise, and it would be best if you, use your mental resources for the hands where you have to do important things, and when you're the dummy, you don't have much important to do. So now, had I bid 1 spade here, my partner, with about 19 points, I guess, let's see, 10, how many points did my partner have? 10, 19 points. Would have bid, 3 or 4 spades, and would we have made that? Well, it's not that far away. I mean, we have a diamond loser and 2 club losers, so it looks like if we can play the trump suit without loss, we might actually make 4 spades on these cards. So, I mean, it turns out I was sort of paying attention. Spades were 4-1, and we didn't have the 9 of spades, which makes the hand kind of tricky to play. I think in practice, 4 spades probably would fail. So I'm kind of glad from that point of view that I didn't respond 1 spade. But you can see that, even when I have a hand as light as the one that I had, we may well make a game contract even without partner having any, extraordinary distribution. It's all about the fit. It turned out, both my king of spades and the jack of diamonds, the few things I had, were good fitting cards for partner's particular hand. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. That's a good point by B Tour that at match points you really want to be playing in a spade part score by our cards, with our cards. The problem is that it may not really be possible to get to a spade part score. Okay, that if it goes one diamond past one spade, my partner could be forgiven for bidding four spades. That's what a lot of people would have bid with Sally Alley's hand. So, you want to be in a spade part score, but it may be somewhere that you just can't get to. And, making one diamond is better than going down in four spades. Yeah, that's a good point, Duffer, that, the number of diamonds I had, would sometimes be a factor in deciding whether or not I would, respond to my partner's opening bid. Now, of course, if I have one or zero diamonds, the chances are that I've got, increased, that I have a long suit of my own. And if I have a long suit of my own, the more likely I am going to be to want to bid it. So, I mean, there are some hands with one diamond. If I had no points at all, and I was, say, 4-4, 1-4 distribution, I would pass one diamond despite having only one diamond, because what I would be afraid of is I think there's a pretty good chance that partner's going to rebid 2-no trump. It's likely that partner has an 18 or 19 balance point hand here. And, I certainly, I don't want to play in 2-no trump. Now, I don't want to play in one diamond either, but, it is maybe partner will be able to scramble some tricks at the one level, but a hand like that will play just awful in no trump. Yeah, I'm in general not a big fan of rescuing partner. Sometimes when partner gets doubled, I will then think about it. But, as a general rule, I let partner sort of worry about him or herself, and if, partner makes a non-forcing bid, I don't usually consider it my business to, correct the contract unless I've got a lot of distribution of my own. Any more questions, or should we go on to the next one? I guess I can. Here's an instructive point now that I'm looking at all the cards. I think Lady Star probably should not have played the Queen of Spades at trick one here. That, in general, under leading aces, especially against suit contracts, is not something that one goes out of their way to do, and it certainly isn't something that you see very often when the bidding goes one of something, pass, pass, pass. So Lady Star can be pretty sure that Sally Alley has the ace of spades. And if that's the case, then playing the Queen of Spades cannot be a winning play. Now, on the actual hand, it probably didn't matter, which spade Lady Star played. But let's say, hypothetically, Liz had led the three of spades from 3 to the jack. Now it might well matter, and playing the 9 of spades, will, in that case, force declare's ace, whereas playing the Queen of spades, would allow declare to take a finesse against, Liz's hypothetical jack. So, it probably didn't matter on this hand, but, that's something that you should be thinking about, I think. Another interesting point, now that I can see all the hands, is Liz's decision over one diamond. There are certainly players that would overcall 2 clubs with Liz's hand. And, I kind of like her decision to pass. For one thing, it's nice to have a 6-card suit for a 2-level overcall. I'm not saying it's necessary, but it's nice, and especially when your 5-card suit is not that strong. Another good thing about Liz's hand is there's a pretty good chance that the opponents will be bidding and raising spades. in which case you'll now be able to make a takeout double to suggest hearts and clubs. Now, it didn't actually work out that way, but, that will happen a fair percentage of the time. So, it's not that I hate the two-club overcall or anything, but I think the pass is, pretty well judged. And if I was vulnerable, I certainly would think that the pass, is a clear bid. That for me, Liz's hand is certainly not worth a vulnerable two-level overcall. The only thing I could say in favor of overcalling really here is that experience suggests that when they open one diamond and you bid two clubs, that's a pretty effective overcall, that it does make life a little bit hard for the opponents because it's sort of, in a way, a preemptive bid. But, I am stretching a bit. I have to admit that I think I would probably pass if I had Liz's hand.